Hey there, Master Creator 1998 here, and today, I'm going to tell you the fun fact about Wacky Races Coast to Coast. During the development of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, Cartoon Network decided to create a new Wacky Races cartoon. They were going to add an old Wacky Races episode and put all together in one race. The show is going to be called Wacky Races Coast to Coast. In order to voice all the characters in this series, it will have Jim Cummings, Billy West, Janet Waldo, Scott Innes, Greg Burson, and John Stevenson to voice all the characters from the series, while Greg Berger is the voice of race announcer, despite Paul Winchell is no longer voicing Dick Dastardly due to his age, and Don Messick is no longer voicing Muttley due to his retirement from voice acting. At night time, Mike Lazo had a fever dream about Space Ghost being on a talk show host. The next morning at Cartoon Network, Mike tells the animators and writers to change the idea, and he said to them,
"Change the plans, everyone. The show is going to be called Space Ghost Coast to Coast."
They scrapped the idea about Wacky Races Coast to Coast, and they begin development of Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Few years later, Cartoon Network had the idea to make reboot Wacky Races cartoon after they scrapped the idea of Wacky Races Coast to Coast few years ago during the development of Space Ghost Coast to Coast. The show is going to be called Wacky Races Forever. The series depicted a roster of both new and returning racers competing against each other. Penelope Pitstop and Peter Perfect had married and create Perfect Industries, the corporate sponsor of the new Wacky Races. Their children, Parker Perfect and Piper Pitstop, competed in the race. Other characters included the Slag Brothers, Professor Pat Pending, a teenage version of Gruesome Twosome, Dick Dastardly, and Muttley. Dick Dastardly and Muttley are working for a new villain named Mr. Viceroy, who brought to steal Perfect Industries. During development of Wacky Races Forever, they hire voice casts of the series such as Jim Cummings, Jeff Bennett, Kath Soucie, and James Arnold Taylor. Muttley was voiced by Billy West in most scenes, while John Kassir voiced Muttley in some scenes. This pilot wasn't picked up by Cartoon Network. Not only that, two voice actors, Kath Soucie and Jeff Bennett, previously the voice of Dexter and Dee Dee's parents from Dexter's Laboratory,